Hello, everyone. I am William Jamal Wright,
And I'm Hattie.
and this is our podcast, HattieJo. What are we doing? And on today's episode, we have a special guest. We have my world-renowned, one of the greatest people I know on this earth, my best friend, Rob Schirmann. What's up, Rob?
Hey guys, happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thanks
Cool.
for joining us. We appreciate it.
Now, for those of you that may not know, Rob is one of my best friends. We met in college at Duke University. Rob is, where are you from?
I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio.
Cincinnati, Ohio. Your dad and mom are great. He has two brothers, correct?
I do. Chris and Nick, both a couple years younger.
Both a couple
You're
years
the
younger.
oldest.
I
You
am.
guys
Yes.
are oldest siblings.
That's right. The oldest are always the best. Wouldn't you agree, Rob?
I would, of course, agree to that.
But Rob is from Cincinnati, Ohio, and he lives now in Kentucky with his wife. And he's also expecting a little one on the way, right?
Yes, we are. Austin Victor Sherman due August 10th.
Ah.
Wonderful.
Gonna be a dad.
Congratulations. Yeah.
It's amazing how we went from freshman year at Duke to now you're a dad.
Nothing like steel reserves and green cigars rolling up. Life got
Yes.
so quick.
Man, August 10th, that's coming up soon.
I don't even think we're going to make that, so we'll see.
man.
Yeah, it's real soon. Got
Well,
our bags
if
packed.
Lydia knocks on the door sounding urgent, you better take that.
Yeah. Well, we already established I had to move my desk to the basement now because the baby got my old office upstairs, so I have no doors.
Priorities.
Yes. So, Rob, why did you choose going back? You're from this little small town in Ohio, or I guess it's not that small. Cincinnati's pretty big.
One of the bigger towns.
Why did you choose to come to Duke?
Well, I'll put this as straightforward as I can. They gave me a scholarship.
Always a good reason. Always
So,
a good reason.
Yeah, honestly, Duke wasn't really on my radar for quite a while because I've never been an academic. I am in grad school now, but I don't know how
cool.
I got tricked into doing that. Never thought I'd go back to school. But I was never very great with school. That was never, on the top of my priority list, whether it should have been or not. Throughout high school and football and the recruiting process, I knew that was going to be something that I was interested in. I had the size for it. And coaches were coming around. Thought I was going to go to a MAC school somewhere here in Ohio, OU. Bowling Green was my first offer, actually.
Nice.
And that kind of fell through. Yeah. And then Duke came around. Coach Yano, back in the day, still remember him. He called me all the time. We would talk, Finally, after I lost that Bowling Green offer, I think my dad got on the phone. He's just like, hey, what are you guys going to do? We just lost this other offer. You're going to give us an offer? What's up? And he was like, yeah, we want
Dad
Rob to
Sherman
be here.
playing the hard game.
Yeah, and I was like, you know what? This is awesome. I went on my official visit. Zach Maritas, who's like a billionaire now, was my, whatever you want to call it, my host. Went out, had a great time. That was actually the first time I'd ever gotten drunk, which was another great story. Good times.
Hey, we have something more in common. Like the first time we ever got drunk was on our Duke official visit.
Yeah. Good times back then. I guess maybe we shouldn't say
Welcome to
that.
college.
But so you had a good time on your official visit, and then
So what were some of your first impressions of Duke on that official visit, if you can remember any, while you were sober?
Beautiful campus. I didn't go to too many other places, and most of the schools I went to were a bit smaller, although Duke's pretty small itself. But,
yeah.
I mean, it's the one thing everybody says when they go there. It's just a beautiful campus. I really liked all the architecture, all the different buildings. The weather's phenomenal. One thing that I always loved was that all the streets around campus had trees that hung over the streets. Like when we lived at the park, taking whatever that was, university or whatever, to get out there every day, covered in trees, spring and fall, best time ever. It wasn't so bad driving to practice when you got to go down that beautiful scenery every day. So
early morning practice.
Yeah, I thought I clicked pretty well. I got along with all the people. Marinas, I remember I met Taps that trip, Stefano. Overall, it was a real good experience. I felt pretty comfortable, and I was happy to eventually call it home.
Awesome.
Now, I remember, so at Duke, your freshman year, you are allowed to drive on campus. So that was kind of one of the first things that really, like, I had a car, you didn't have a car. And that was one of, I think, for me, at least remembering back, like, that was one of the first things that, like, kind of made us click together, was that you loved to drive. I wasn't so fond of it, so
you guys were roommates, right?
No, we were not roommates our freshman year.
Oh, so it was sophomore year.
Yeah, it was sophomore year that we became roommates.
Gotcha.
But freshman year, you literally drove everywhere. And that little red Chrysler I had.
I think that the first time we ever really talked was when I was trying to find a ride back to the hotel between two-a-days.
Yes.
Nobody wanted to go, and I wanted to go, and you had a car. And I think that's where it started.
Hey, the best things are born out of necessity, right?
Yes.
I'll jump ahead here. You're probably going to get to this, but I think the time we knew that we were going to be friends, I think it was the only time throughout college that I got sick during practice.
Yes.
And I left practice. Like, that doesn't happen very often.
Oh, man.
That was the time I had ever done that. Yeah, freshman year, I left practice because I was so sick. I got sick. I was throwing up. Get back in the locker room, and I'm like, I'm not walking to the bus to wait for a bus and ride back
hot
home.
weather, yeah.
Being sick. So I was like, oh, that guy Jamar let me use his car, or he gave me a ride one time. I'm just going to take his car. So I went and found his keys, which were laying on the floor 10 feet from his locker, as
Sounds
always.
about right.
And just took off. And the next thing I remember hearing about your side of it later, but I remember being half awake, feeling awful in my bed, and Jamar and my roommate Matt Rumsey walk in. And he says something like, oh, my keys got to be here. And he's like, there they are. Yes. Signature Jamar whenever he finds his keys or something else that he lost on a daily basis.
Yes. So I used to lose everything. But I was
about to say, is used to accurate, or is it still happening today?
It doesn't happen anywhere near as much. But in college, I literally lost my keys at least once every other day. It was awful. And I was probably one of the messiest people in the locker room. We would come down from before practice, you have to get dressed and all your stuff, and you take all your clothes off. I would just take all my clothes off and just lay them all over the floor because I was kind of on time. I was never late for anything, but I was definitely in a rush once practice started. So,
skipping ahead again, that concludes why we were only roommates for 1 year.
Yes, because...
So, Rob, you're really
neat. There are a pile of clothes everywhere, every day.
Yes.
That kind of thing. You can ask my wife. It drives me insane. I'm a bit OCD, and it's continually gotten worse over the years. I went through a lot of roommates in college.
Yeah, I am very similar. I like things neat and orderly and picked up and tidy, but he's done a pretty good job.
Yeah. I've gotten better over the years.
The decision making gets a lot better, right?
Yes. So sophomore year, we decided to live together. I remember Rob being so worried about which room we were gonna get. You had 5 different rooms picked out. If this room is taken, then but we ended up rooming together in the 4B, right?
4A 409.
Yes, 4A 409. But so what was it like having me as a roommate?
Terrible enough he didn't want you back another year.
Well, I've never seen anybody with more clothes than you, and I've never seen them so not neatly stacked all over the floor all the time. I'm not sure how you ever found anything, but another thing you loved, what was that, the Popov Russian vodka that was the most disgusting stuff I've ever tasted.
It was cheap.
$5 for a plastic handle bottle of this stuff. At the time, I was a Smirnoff snob. That's all. I wouldn't drink anything less than that.
You used to hate drinking beer. You used to hate drinking beer.
I didn't do beer until I think it was around New Year's sophomore year.
Wow.
And that's when we finally started getting in with like T-Rob and Ben and all them and shit. Because all you guys would do was drink beer. But fortunately, it happened at that time once 26B came around, because that has kind of set the tone for the rest of our lives.
Yeah, seriously. But I remember, so I definitely, beginning of my sophomore year, I definitely thought I had the control over my drinking, which I did. But I remember you were like, I don't think you can go that long without drinking. So I was like, I can go the entire year.
I wish you would have brought this up. I still have the contract somewhere.
Yes, I remember you sent me a picture of it, and we can get it up and show like everyone the contract.
The actual paper. I don't save a lot of paper. I scan everything, but that piece of paper, I have it somewhere.
Yes, and within like the first like 2 weeks of the contract that we both signed, I did not fulfill my end. Yeah, I faltered.
Yeah, so we got to set it up a little bit. So Jamar would drink all the time, and he came up with this idea that it wasn't healthy, and he wanted to, pay more attention to football, I guess. It was something like that. And he was going to stop drinking for, how long did you say? A semester? The season? Something ridiculous that could have never been accomplished in college. So I knew 100% this would never happen. Jamar could not make that kind of commitment at the time. So we wrote out a contract. We typed it up on the computer. We printed it. We put lines for both of us to signature. I think we had a witness line also. I forget who that was. Maybe Chancellor?
Yes. No, it wasn't Chancellor. I think it might have been like Angela or...
yeah, they were right down the hall.
Yeah.
Carolyn?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we had this contract. We put it up on the wall. It was all official, no drinking, blah, blah, blah. Jamar hereby swears he will refrain from alcohol. I think you made it,
it was like 2 weeks. It was like 2 weeks.
Did it pass single digits?
I think it did.
It was less than 2 weeks, we'll say that.
Yeah, it was less than 2 weeks. I was
really excited when that date ended, and I got to write the finish date on there, and I won.
So what did you win?
I had to buy you a handle of alcohol, right?
Yes, and it was not pop-off.
Oh, so after my sophomore year, I got hurt my sophomore year, so like Rob was with like the team and like traveling a lot, and like I was with like the injured and the redshirt guys, and that's how like I started hanging out with Tyler and Ben, because on the weekends when all the guys are traveling or they're at the hotel, all the injured guys and the redshirt guys, they kind of hang out and just kind of get to know each other. But after that, like we went into our junior year, and then Rob was like, it was for both our benefits that we not live together anymore. But you moved in with Pat Bailey on Central Campus, right?
I did. Another 1 year.
And actually,
Pat was a really good friend too,
He's an all-around great guy.
Crappy 50, 60-year-old central apartments. It was a 2-bedroom, so it had the big, nice bedroom that was originally part of the apartment, and then it was like that summer apartment you had where it was supposed to be a big open room, but they closed it off with like cubicle walls, and it was this little baby bedroom.
Yes.
Pat took that. So he was all cool about it, happy with it. He didn't like to do the dishes. I remember one time the dishes were full in the sink, and they started growing mold after a couple weeks. I was waiting to see if he would do it, and he wouldn't do it. So finally I say, screw it, I'm just going to do it. I go out there and do it. And I'm convinced he heard me start to clean them. He walks out and he's like, oh, I was just going to come do the dishes. Okay, Pat, get out of here. I like Pat a lot. Haven't talked to him for a while, but he's a good dude.
Yeah, he is a good dude. I remember though, like we used to play like a lot of Guitar Hero. Rob is the man of Guitar Hero.
Well, there's a real guitar in the background we see. So.
I'm not a hero at that one.
No.
I can't play that one behind my head.
Oh, impressive.
Well, we would play. Was it It was King Griffey Jr. baseball, wasn't it?
The old N64, yeah.
Yes.
N64.
N64, King Griffey Jr. baseball. And we played like the World Series. The best of 7. We had some good times. We would drink Steel Reserves and play King Griffey Jr. baseball.
You know, the Steel Reserves, I remember just being that one time. I wasn't the biggest fan of it.
Just that one time.
I'm going to put that on you. I didn't know this existed until I was with you, and we went to the grocery, which is what you referred to as the gas station, and I was oblivious. And you got Steel Reserves, and I had no idea what those were. I didn't even know they sold beer by the can. I thought you could get like a 6-pack or something.
Yeah, and I got that actually from I got that Steel Reserves from one of my best friends back in high school. Like I went back home one weekend, and my boy was like, "Yo, like, have you ever had a Steel Reserve?" I was like, "Nah, I've never had a Steel Reserve." He's like, "You gotta try this. Like, it'll get you right." And he was right. It got me right.
Something, yeah.
But we lived junior year. We lived on Central Campus, but we spent so much time at Partners, and that kind of created 26B, which is our friend group, which we on a yearly basis now we try and get together. It's called our Last Man Standing, and we go to a city across the country. We've been to Chicago, Denver, and Nashville.
Yep.
Yeah, so
New Orleans next year.
Yeah, New Orleans next year. So it's been like pretty cool that like our group of friends that we kind of bonded with that third year and kind of grew together. We still stay in touch.
Definitely.
We've had a couple of weddings since then. The first wedding was Ben that got married first or Tyler?
It was like 2 weeks first. 2 weeks prior, wasn't it?
Yeah. So Tyler's wedding was in Washington, D.C.
Nice.
And we all came up for that. And Rob and I, we all went golfing. We came in a day early, and we went golfing. Rob is definitely the best golfer. Well, I think Ben's probably the best, and then Rob, and then Ben plays so much.
I guess I don't remember. We only played with him that one time. All I remember is that his clubs had to be lengthened 4 inches.
Yeah, because Ben is 6'10".
Yeah.
But I would definitely say that, no offense, Rob, you're good, and you're definitely way better than Tyler and I. But Ben has definitely got a leg up on you.
That may be true. I don't remember, and I'm not that great. But I am better than T-Rob. Last time T-Rob came to town, before Last Man Standing this year, we drove down to Nashville together. He was talking all this game about how good he's gotten and he's going to kick my ass. And then we get out there and I think he shot like a 125 or something. Which, if you know golf, that is not a good score.
Not a good score at all.
It's okay, though. He's bought some alignment sticks since then. You lay them on the ground and they help you with your swing. So he's probably great by now.
Yeah, I actually once did like a personal lesson, and they had like alignment sticks out there, and that's how they got me to. And actually, I shot like I was hitting it pretty well that day, but it's a little bit different when you're practicing on the golf range as opposed to actually playing on the court or on the course. But so Rob, how is? Of course, we finished our 4 years, graduated from Duke. I remember like we walked in the line together on graduation day and sat beside each other. So that was definitely a moment I'll remember, and having my boy there.
We huddled under an umbrella while it was raining, listening. I don't remember who the commencement speaker was. I had a pounding headache because we were up at 5 a.m. the night before. Almost didn't wake up. My dad actually came into my apartment and woke me up in the morning because my parents hadn't heard from me and didn't want to miss graduation.
Papa Schirmann coming through for you at the beginning of college and at the end.
That's right.
Yeah, he is pretty cool. And then, of course, graduation was great. Rob still had another year because he redshirted our freshman year.
Yeah, that was pretty cool about graduation. When we broke off and went to our individual department ceremonies, I was in sociology, and we had to walk in there, and as you were walking, that's when they'd hand you your degrees.
Yeah.
Well, I hadn't earned mine yet. I had another semester to go. So these women are giving out the degrees. They hear my name, and they look at each other like, I can't find it. So the one says, oh, they pointed at something. They pick out this, like, 1XL purple Duke sociology T-shirt, and they're like, "Here's your T-shirt." And I look
at my parents.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
That's funny.
Like some rag that somebody was going to use to wipe down the windows. Like, oh, here you go.
I don't know if you remember this, but I remember like your 5th year when I came back. Like, so I was working at Presbyterian College, and I had like the Raleigh-Durham area to recruit. And I also, like, before, so I came up here to recruit, but I also came up here because after you finished school here, you stayed in Durham for a little bit, right?
A little while, yeah. Couple months till the money ran dry.
So this is right before I was about to become a graduate assistant here at Duke. And I come up here to interview with the graduate school. So I was like, the interview is on Monday. So I was like, you know what? I'll come up and stay an extra night and hang out with my boys a little bit. That's actually, I had met Abby a couple of times before, but I met Abby Johnston, who's an Olympic gold medalist. I met her through Rob and Tyler. They all lived at the park together. Hey, Abby, if you're listening to this.
She just got married.
Yeah, she did just get married to a football coach. But with that being said, earlier we talked about me losing my keys. So I came up here to interview for graduate school. We went out on the Saturday night, and Sunday morning I wake up and I cannot find my keys. And meanwhile, I'm living in South Carolina. I'm here in Durham. So.
And this is Sunday morning?
This is Sunday morning.
So this is before your interview?
Before my interview on Monday. So I can't find my keys. Looked everywhere. And Rob, being the good friend that he is, I knew I had a spare key in South Carolina. So I'm like, you know what? Like, I have to have my keys. So I drive all the way 3 hours, 6 hours total in one day.
Did you borrow Rob's car?
I did borrow Rob's car. What did you have at that time? A Camry or?
You had a Camry.
Yeah.
No, didn't have your Camry yet. I had my 2004 Pontiac Grand Prix.
Nice.
Yes. So I rode the Pontiac 6 hours, 3 hours down and 3 hours back to get my spare key. And I kid you not, I get an hour from being all the way back. And then one of the guys that we had been hanging out the night with before, he says, hey, like, your keys are in my car. Like, they're here. But this is like, literally, I had been driving for 5 hours already. So I had to do what I had to do. But
right.
I bet you were like, I bet you couldn't. You were probably thinking, oh, that's classic Jamar.
Of course.
Were you ever worried that he would lose your keys?
I think that was one of the only times he ever drove my car, even. Like he said before, I very much like to drive. I would always drive, and he would always just ride along. Whether it was my car, his car, somebody else's car, it didn't matter. Eli's truck, I used to drive that a lot. I love that thing. I don't know. That one time, I guess I didn't think of it. I hoped he wouldn't even take them out of the car.
You hope to be a quick exchange. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, but it was definitely some good times. But kind of moving along, life has definitely happened. Rob, we both actually went to Rob's wedding.
Which was so nice, so beautiful.
It was in Sarasota, Florida, right?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
It was a good time. I was actually one of Rob's best groomsmen, and it was a
best groomsman, not just the
Best
regular.
groomsman. Yeah, I helped you put on your tie and everything. Like we had you looking good.
That's right.
But it was a great time. I remember just, of course, Hattie was there, and I cannot remember like Rob being so happy.
Yeah.
You were definitely very happy. Your family was all there. What are some of the memories that you have from that day?
I'm not usually great in situations where all the attention is on me. Not a big fan of that. I really did enjoy how we did the rehearsal dinner out on a boat and invited everybody out.
Mm-hmm.
I think we invited most people, if not everybody. And, 2.5 hours out on the water, beautiful night, drinks are flowing freely. Boat was awesome. Attention wasn't on me because we had all this other awesome stuff to pay attention to. And, we all had a great time, I think. Got to mingle with everybody, enjoy being out on a boat. T-Pain reference. I think that was great.
Yeah, and that was kind of a cool way to see Sarasota. That's a very distinctive thing to do when you're in that place. So it just kind of added another, cool thing for the whole wedding trip.
Yeah, Lydia and I, the past couple times before we got married that we had gone down to Sarasota, her grandparents had a house down there, and now it's her mom's, and she'd grown up going down there. So
right.
Even before I was around, she kind of knew she wanted to get married down there. And I was fine with that. I was a little worried at first about my family and having to travel. I was, I think, 15-hour drive and a couple-hour plane ride down there. So I was a little worried about that at first, but it ended up working out great. The venue was fantastic. I was also worried because it was outdoors and it was the end of May, and I'm a big guy and I sweat a lot, even when it's cold out. So I was worried about that. It ended up working out. It was really hot and sweaty, but everybody joined me in that. So
Yeah.
It was definitely a beautiful ceremony, and we all had a good time.
And your dogs were included.
Yes, they were.
Oh, is Bailey there?
She's always with me. Bale, say hi.
Hi, Bales. Hi.
So how old is Bailey?
Bale is 3.5 years old.
Oh, nice.
And we got another Yorkie. He's Ben's. He's 8 years old. He's upstairs. He doesn't like me as much.
I wonder why.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, you guys, definitely, you're one of my best friends, man. We appreciate you coming on the podcast.
Right back at you, buddy.
We're going to end this right here. And like I said, we appreciate you coming on. We wish you guys the best with your upcoming little boy. And I know you'll do right by him. And we look forward to spending more time together and doing this thing called life, bro. I love you.
All right. Love you too, bro.
Tell Lydia we said hi, please.
All right. We'll do.
All right. See ya.
Bye.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
Thank you. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. That is what we were doing.
Deuces.